The 755th edition of the MMA Gambling Podcast on the Sports Gambling Podcast Network is brought to you by Underdog Fantasy. Sign up with promo code MMASGPN to get a 50% deposit bonus of up to $1,000. And we're also brought to you by Edge Boost. Earn up to $750 per month on your sports gambling transactions. Just go to edgeboost.bet and use promo code SGPN. And finally, we're brought to you by Rhythm, the leader in data-driven picks and props. Get your 7-day free trial today by going to sportsgamblingpodcast.com/RITHMM.
Howdy ho, degenerinos. Welcome to episode 755 of the MMA Gambling Podcast and the Sports Gambling Podcast Network, dedicated to Bot, one of our friends in the Discord named Bot. It doesn't look like it's really a bot, though. By the way,
we kicked plenty of bots out of there, but that one's
true.
Not.
That bot is not getting kicked out. Thank you for being our friend, Bot. Thank you for coming to the show. I'm one of your hosts. No laundry, Jeff Fox. Same shirt as yesterday, so I'm living up to my nickname. We got the UFC for you. It's already pay-per-view time. UFC 311 barely in the rearview mirror, and we got UFC 312 coming down the pipe already. Sunday in where it's taking place. It's taking place Sunday afternoon in Australia, but Saturday night, as per usual for us here in the United States and or Canada, which is the United States soon enough. So today's all about prelims. 8 prelim fights. Before we get to that, though, that was gonna be real, and that chuckled politely to my joke, because he thinks it's funny that his country wants to take over mine. Ha ha ha.
That's not what I said.
I did very good last week at UFC.
Oh, yeah. Let's talk about your last week.
UFC. Oh, yeah. It was Riyadh season for me, is what it was. I went 8-3, hit a 154 dog. I hit a 140 dog. I hit a 105 dog. So I was hitting dogs. I'm going to get arrested for all this dog hitting. Got me hit a couple of dogs himself, plus 140, plus 105. So,
including my dog of the week, Bogdan Grad.
That's true. Bogdan Grad, he hit, which was kind of funny that you ended up deciding on him as your dog of the week. It was funny.
My dog of the week, and I had him in the Hungry Man Jong with a KO at plus 340.
Yep, that's the one that came through for you. So he had Grad. We both had Jousset Vicious as our locks. She looked pretty good, as we were saying in our aborted first attempt at this podcast. Yeah, she's probably the best hope we have in Canada for.
She's not the best hope you have.
The only hope.
The only hope you have. Yeah.
The only Canadian fighter on the way up, basically, too. So, and she's 35.
I think with the exception of Ayman Zahabi, she might be the only ranked Canadian. Am I wrong about that?
Yeah, that probably sounds right.
Oh, no, Jillian Robertson, she's probably ranked.
Yeah, that's true. She's Floridian, though, now.
Yeah. She's a Florida girl.
Anyhow, just the Vicious. The time is now. Lucky she's in the shallow division because, like I said, she's 35 already. Not to, it's not polite to
flyweight's not shallow.
A lady's name, but
is flyweight shallow?
Shallower than men's bantamweight. How's that?
Yeah, I mean everything is though.
It's true.
It's probably the best women's division right now in terms of talent.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I'm not. The women. It's probably I guess it would be the deepest of the women's divisions. I would say. Yeah, it's all right. You're right. You checked me, and it was correct. Gumby's still beating me, too, for UFC. Most people, casual fans, would think, well, it's not always the case. No, that's not always the case. It's the case early this year, though. So, and you and I are 66%
in the year before that. The whole year
whatever. 66% consensus, Gumby and myself. So, if we are locked in on picks this episode, you can almost take them to the bank. So, we'll see how many we get locked in on. A lot of this isn't your typical pay-per-view card. This is a very Australian heavy fight card, which isn't really surprising. And a lot of newer fighters or fighters we've only seen once or twice. So maybe some new names for some people on here. I actually had to watch some film, which I normally don't do, to jog my aging memory on how some of these fighters looked. I've seen all of them in action before, but probably only once or twice in a long time.
Have you seen Colby Thickness? Yeah.
Yes, I did. Yeah. Not impressed. I am not impressed by your performance.
Nice Canadian reference and exactly. Pretend Canadian accent.
Yeah. Well, we'll speak of Mr. Thickness. I am impressed by his name, and his nickname is good too. We'll talk about him soon. Actually, we should probably jump in. We got lots of fights to break down, lots of things to do. I have to remind you, we are giving away $1,000. How does that sound? SGPN promo contest. We're running a free squares pool for the Super Bowl. $1,000 winner take all for the finals. Score square. Just go to sportsgamblingpodcast.com/squares to sign up today. sportsgamblingpodcast.com/squares. All right. Are you ready, Gumby?
I'm very ready.
Are you ready? What do you think of the prelims, Gumby? Did I sum them up properly?
There's
a lot of newcomers and Aussies.
The only bummer I have is that Colby Thicknesse is actually on this fight card, and the reason being is it was supposed to be Cody Hedon. And Cody Hedon, I'm a huge fan. I really do think he's like a future top 10 kind of guy, and would have loved to seen him go in there and burst the Topuria bubble a little bit.
Yeah.
But so like I'm a little bummed that he's not on there, but a lot of other prospects I'm pretty high on.
Hey, next fight possibly, right? They might rebook it. You never know. So we are speaking of UFC 312 Duplessis versus Strickland 2. We are not talking about those two guys in this episode. That's tomorrow. This is going down on Saturday, like I said, Saturday in North America, Sunday in the home country of Sydney, New South Wales, Australia. 13 fights. We're covering the first 8 today. 6 p.m. start time. So they're screwing the Australians over. And actually, the time difference is actually going to work out okay for them. It's basically Sunday. We'll be starting Sunday afternoon. I think they're 15.
What time does it start here again?
Let me think. 6 p.m. Eastern. They're 15 hours ahead. So actually starting at
9 a.m., 10 a.m.
Yeah, so it's early Sunday morning. So not the worst thing. There's been worse cards for like Europeans and stuff to start in the middle of the night. So not the worst thing for the people, for the punters in the Kudos Bank Arena in Sydney. Let's break her down, starting with a prelim fight, flyweight. This is actually a pretty fun fight if you're a road to UFC fan. We got Hyun Seung Park from Korea. Shout out to Jong, our friend, versus the Mongolian Nyamjargal Tumendemberel. I haven't said his name for a little while, but it's a fun one. Tumendemberel. We got some fun nicknames for this fight too. We've got Peace of Mind versus Art of Knockout. We'll speak of Art of Knockout first. That'll be Tumendemberel. He is 8-1, 2 knockouts, 5 submissions. He's never been finished in a fight. 0-1 in the UFC, so his 1 L came in his last fight. I was back in. He's not won since August 2023. He went 2-0 and road to UFC. He's got multiple region championships on his
mantle.
Right, get the shirt, sportsgamblingpodcast.com/store. And here's a secret for you. Not really a secret, but if you type in big game at checkout, 15% off. Boom. Used to fight at 145, 5 inches reach over Park, 3 years younger. He was outstruck in the road too in the UFC by 0.16 strikes per minute, so pretty much a wash. He's at plus 195. Park, Peace of Mind, 9-0, 4 knockouts, 4 submissions, 2-0 in the UFC. He's won 8 straight fights via finish. He's not fought, though, since December 2023. He went 2-0 on the road to UFC and won the championship. Oh, actually, he didn't. He wasn't in the tournament or did not win the championship. What happened? He got hurt? Is that what happened?
Yeah, I think he got hurt, and then they gave him another fight.
Yeah. Regional champ, 0-1 in pro kickboxing. Better striking stats, more active landing strikes than Tumendemberel. He's outstruck his opponents in the road 2 by 0.72 strikes per minute. And in the UFC, he's fought 2 fights in the UFC as well. Minus 205. I just read an article about this man on sportsgamblingpodcast.com, written by Daniel Breland.
No, I think he actually, if I'm now that I'm rethinking about it, I think he did win road to the UFC, but I think his fight was the one they had to delay and not have on the finale episode.
Okay.
They one of the fighters couldn't get a visa quick enough, and it was when it changed from being a China card to a UFC Vegas card. And so they had to rebook it for a different day. I'm going, as you said on the article that you read, I'm going Hyun Seung Park. I really like his wrestling. I think the top game control here is the difference maker. Obviously, you have to be a little bit alarmed about the size difference and the reach difference here. Mm-hmm. But also, I'm not particularly terrified of Tumendemberel's striking. I know he's called the art of knockout. But I don't see him as some crazy power puncher for the flyweight.
2 knockouts.
Yeah,
2 knockouts in 9 fights. So yeah,
exactly. And in addition to that too, his grappling has shown some wild holes in them. He fought Top Noi Kiram, which, by the way, how long has it been since we've talked about Top Noi?
I know. Both these guys fought him. I think both these guys beat him. I think.
Yes. Yeah, but only one of them gave up 6 takedowns to Top Noi.
Which is crazy to that guy.
Top Noi got 6 takedowns, and Top Noi is a Muay Thai fighter who thinks it's more important to rip a few butts than drill takedowns, and he still hit 6 takedowns on Tumendemberel. So for me in that one, like knowing that Park has the wrestling advantage and he's going to be up against the guy with like a big weakness in the takedown defense, I think Park cruises with about 3 or 4 takedowns and plenty of control time.
Yeah, Park's my pick as well. Like you said, he's probably a better striker too. Well, he is a better striker too than Art of Knockout. So
more dangerous at least.
Yeah, very, very true. Maybe they should swap nicknames. All right, so we're in on that one. So lock that one up. It's going to happen. Quillan, Salkilld, who you spoke of yesterday, right? You're hoping.
I'm hoping he's on the Top Turtle MMA podcast this week.
Hopefully.
We're just making sure we iron out the time, especially with the time differences we just spoke about.
Yep. And it's MMA. So these things sometimes
happen in
strange
MMA.
things happen in MMA. And actually, I find MMA guys easier to interview than other sports, but still. Anshul Jubli from India. So Australia versus India fight is something you don't see too often, at least not in the UFC. 3 5-minute rounds, 155. Jubli, King of Lions, 7-1, 2 knockouts, 1 submission. He's been knocked out once. That famously was in his last fight where he got barked at and then lost. He was winning. He was winning until Mike Breeden started barking at him. He's 1-1 in the UFC. Like I said, got knocked out in his last fight. October 2023, that was. He's not won since February 2023. He went 1-0 on the road too and won the championship, road to UFC. More active letting the strikes than Salkilld. He's outstruck his opponents by 0.87 strikes per minute. He's at plus 425. No respect. I guess he has shown his weakness, barking. Salkilld, 7-1, 2 knockouts, 3 submissions. He's been submitted once. This is his debut, 1-0 in Contender Series. He's won 7 straight. He's not lost since February 2021, his MMA debut professionally. Regional champ, 6 inches reach over Jubli, 4 years younger, better grappling stats. He's outstruck his opponents by 1.13 strikes per minute, minus 530. Like I said, Jubli looked good in his last fight, but yeah, obviously maybe the mental game wasn't there. He got beat by Mike Breeden. When it comes right down, it doesn't matter how he got beat. He got beat by Mike Breeden. Salkild's a very, very good prospect, and he's massive compared to Jubli, and he's much younger. So I think everything is pointing to a Salkilld win here, other than Gumby possibly interviewing him. That could muddy things up, but I'll still take my chances here on Salkilld.
Yeah, I like Salkilld too. And I'll just say this, you mentioned Jubli looking good in that fight. Like he did, but like Jubli is a wrestler, right? Like that's what Jubli does. And I actually think Salkild's fight on Contender Series is a harder fight than Anshul Jubli. He fought Gage Young, who is an incredible wrestler from the Midwest. And he dealt with the grappling just fine. And then on top of that, he's longer. You mentioned Jubli, a little bit raw on the feet, and which is eventually what got him caught by Breeden. I think, with as long as Salkilld is and how dangerous he is, I wouldn't be surprised if that happened there too. I actually went searching for props on this and was like, I wonder which is the like prop we could exploit here. Cause like I could see Salkilld getting a submission on a bad shot from Jubli. I could see Salkilld knocking him out because he can't get him down. I could see Salkilld going to decision because he just beat him everywhere and Jubli held up. It's like plus 230 on all 3 of them. Like pick and choose which one you want. It's basically plus 230 in there.
What's inside the distance? Not playable?
Yeah, probably not playable, like down near even money. So like,
yeah,
it's like interesting. I think Salkilld should win pretty easily, but it's interesting to like have to, sort of dabble on all 3 of those to figure out where the money line should be.
Yeah. Wouldn't it be hilarious if he barked at him? If every guy that fights him now barks at him, wouldn't that be amazing?
Just to see what's the risk.
That would be so funny. I know that would be so funny.
Gotta try it. It probably gives weird flashbacks.
You're talking to him. I just remember you're talking to him. You got to mention the barking.
I'm supposed to talk to him tonight if I do,
hopefully.
And he talks bark. Maybe I'll throw some barking talk.
Yeah, you don't have to ask him to bark, but at least you can put it in his head by saying, "Well, his last opponent beat him after you started barking at him." I don't see inside the distance for Salkilld where I'm checking for odds. So, but like you said, it probably wouldn't be a too playable of a line anyhow. So, all right. Let's move on to the next fight. Or is it time for me to talk? Yeah, it's time for me to tell you. It's time for me to tell you some important information about something that isn't the little itty bitty teeny tiny bowl. We're talking about Super Bowl LIX. Get in on the action at DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of Super Bowl 59. That's what LIX stands for, 59. Scoring touchdowns is key to hoisting the Vince Lombardi trophy. And you have a shot to score big by betting on them at DraftKings Sportsbook, the number 1 place to bet touchdowns. New DraftKings customers can bet $5 to get $200 in bonus bets instantly. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app and use code SGP That's code SGP for new customers to get $200 of bonus bets instantly when you bet just $5 only on DraftKings Sportsbook. The crown is yours. Make sure you say gambling before you say problem this time, Gumby. Go.
Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. In New York, call 877-8-HOPENY or text HOPENY 467-369. In Connecticut, help is available for problem gambling. Call 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org. Please play responsibly. On behalf of Boot Hill Casino and Resort in Kansas, 21 and over, age and eligibility varies by jurisdiction. Void in Ontario. Bonus bets expire 168 hours after issuance. For additional terms and responsible gaming resources, see dkng.co/audio.
You did it. You even did it in your professional voice, too. I'm impressed. Good job. Rhythm, RITHMM, is what's up next year. SGPN's partner, Rhythm, is the #1 AI-powered sports betting platform that helps provide bettors of all levels the ability to build custom predictive betting models in seconds. Build your own model, copy one of the top-performing models from the leaderboard, or have Rhythm build you a model. NFL picks, NFL props, college basketball, NBA, Rhythm has it all. Al Horford props, damn right. Claim your 7-day free trial today by going to sportsgamblingpodcast.com/rhythm at sportsgamblingpodcast.com/RITHMM. He's either going to hit 5 3-pointers or negative 3-pointers. Somehow he'll hit negative. He will find a way, Mr. Horford. All right, we're moving on up the card. Fun. Maybe I mentioned we have fun prospects on this card too. It's not just new people. We have some fun, interesting fighters coming in here. All right, next fight is a welterweight fight. Kevin Jousset from France, Jonathan Micallef from Australia. Not surprisingly, another Australian here. Micallef, the captain of what? I don't know. 7-1, 2 knockouts, probably rugby, Australian rules, football. That's what we'll say. He's the captain of. He's 7-1, 2 knockouts, 3 submissions. He's been knocked out once. This is his debut in the UFC. He went 1-0 in Contender Series. He's won 2 straight, both via submission. Regional champion, 2 inches of reach over Jousset, 6 years younger. Better grappling stats based off of his one fight in Contender Series. He got outstruck in that fight, though, by 1.33 strikes per minute. He's at plus 200. Jousset, 7-3, 4 knockouts, 1 submission. He's been knocked out twice. 2-1 in the UFC, 5-1 over his last 6. Got TKO'd in his last fight. He has multiple regional championships on his
mantle.
Correct. Get the shirt. sportsgamblingpodcast.com/store. Big Game is your code for 15% off at checkout. Use fight at 185, 2 inches of height over at Micallef. Better striking stats, 23 times more active lane strikes. That's based off one fight where Micallef did not strike. I think he landed 0.33 strikes in that fight. So small sample size here. Jousset's outstruck his opponents, though, in the UFC by 0.81 strikes per minute, minus 210. Gummy's turn.
I'm going to take a stab on an underdog here for the first time on the card. I'm going to take Jonathan Micallef. I think, so here's the problem with this. If you're going to ride with me here and take Jonathan Micallef, you really have to believe that he can get this fight to the ground in some way, shape, or form, because I think he's going to have trouble on the feet. But part of what allows me to feel like he can get it there and to feel like he has a chance is kind of what's caused problems for Kevin Jousset in the past. If you watch Kevin Jousset in his past fights, basically take any loss he has before the UFC, in the UFC, whatever, and you'll notice that the guy who he's striking with is longer than he is. And he's not used to fighting somebody who's longer than him. We saw how badly that bothered him fighting Brian Battle, right? Brian Battle just pieced this dude up. Because he was longer than him. And now Micallef doesn't have the striking skills that Brian Battle has, but he can use that length. And as long as he can use that length to frustrate Jousset, I think he can get it to the ground. And his submission skills are nuts. He fought Muhammad Adu in his Dana White Contender Series fight. And the transition from mount to triangle on his back, and then he put him out cold, it was sick. Like, his jiu-jitsu is, especially his transitional jiu-jitsu, looking for submissions in the moments in between positions is so impressive. Now, obviously, Jousset has never been submitted, but I think the combination of, like, the fact that he can frustrate him with a little bit of length on the feet and the fact that he is so skilled on the mat, I like giving Micallef a stab here. So I'm going to go with him as my first underdog.
I'll go with the striker as per usual. I'll take Jousset, who's never been taken down in the UFC. I should mention, even Brian Battle.
Nobody really
Battle tried 3 times.
But like, I think it was more.
Song Kenan tried a couple times as well. So.
Oh yeah, that esteemed wrestler, Song Kenan.
And Brian Battle is a good wrestler.
Is he a good wrestler? I think he's good at jiu-jitsu.
He's better than an incoming guy named the Captain.
Yeah,
so.
yeah, and I would also say too, like, I think my caveat here is Brian Battle did shoot takedowns, but like I don't think he expected to get him. I think he was just trying to frustrate him a little bit and then hit him. And maybe that's a path that Micallef can follow.
We'll see. We shall see. So we disagree. That's okay. It's okay to disagree once in a while. Next fight, we'll see if we get back on track. It's a lightweight fight. Cody Steele. Of course, he's from the States. How American is that name? Cody with the K versus Rongzhu from China. 3 5-minute rounds, 155. Zhu, I will tell you about first. Or his last name's wrong, probably, right? We'll just say Rongzhu. Little Yama, actually, is what we'll say. 25-6. But that's a very Chinese regional scene. You fight every weekend type of record that you see these people come over with. These fighters from China. These people sounded derogatory. I meant these fighters from China. I didn't mean it derogatory at all.
You get yourself canceled like when you were talking about that German fighter last week.
Yes, that's right. He's 25-6, 15 knockouts, 6 submissions. He's been knocked out once, submitted 4 times. 0-1 in the UFC, 3-0 and road to and won the championship. That's how he got into the UFC. 4-1 over his last 5, got TKO'd in his last fight. Oh, he missed weight at 155 pounds twice, so keep that in mind. Fighters that lose weight tend to lose their fights as well. Miss weight, tend to lose their fights as well. A regional champion used to fight at 135 at 145. Now he can't even make 155. An inch of reach, 5 years younger than Steele, more active landing strikes and better grappling stats than Steele. But Steele, we've only got one fight with stats for him. Rongzhu has been outstruck in his road to in UFC fights by 0.35 strikes per minute. So pretty much a wash there on the feet for him. Plus 195. Cody Steele, he does not need a nickname. Manov could be his middle name, nickname, I guess. He's 7-0, 4 knockouts, 1 submission. This is his debut. 4 straight wins via TKO, including on the Contender Series, where he went 1-0. He's fed at 170, 18-14-1 is the grappling record that Tapology has as a pro. So probably not complete there. He's a champion in grappling as well. Somehow he's one of those guys with the plus 0.0 strike differential from his one fight in the Contender Series, and he's at minus 218. Give me the man of Steele here, world-class grappler, and now he's knocking people out. 4 straight fights where he knocks people out. So kind of pick your poison. As long as he doesn't, a lot of times people go too far over to the other side and they get away with what got them to the dance to begin with, which would be grappling for this guy. But if he's knocking people out, he's just an all around threat here. So I will take him over Rongzhu.
Yeah, and I think we've seen enough issues with Rongzhu's wrestling that we can get behind him. Now, granted, he won the 2 fights on road to the UFC, but Shinhara Uchi took him down 4 times. And yeah, he got up from underneath Shinhara Uchi, who, I have a few issues with Shin's control time and stuff like that. But like Cody Steele, if you're underneath him, there's going to be more trouble. He also got taken down by, was it Sang Wook Kim? I want to say that was 2 or 3 times as well. So like he's been taken down by people who are far less good wrestlers than Cody Steele. They certainly don't have the jiu-jitsu game as Cody Steele is. Like, I know you mentioned, insane 18-14, prime complete record. But like this is against like the best dudes in all of jiu-jitsu too. Like this isn't like, he signs up for grappling tournaments on the weekend like I used to. Like this is a guy who goes in and like competes with the very best in the world and did for a long time as just like a detour from his MMA career. And now like he's back in MMA and he's knocking people out. And like, that's just the ace in his back pocket. So for me, yeah, it's Cody Steele all day here. I wouldn't be surprised to see him get him out of there.
You said past tense for you. No more competing for you? Or at least
no, I think we hung him up.
Yeah.
I don't need to be trying to lose weight for that reason anymore.
Yeah. You're still rolling though?
Oh yeah. We still mix it up, but there's no reason to, like break joints and stuff like that anymore.
I guess
other people's joints, not mine. No,
yeah,
I'm always good.
Yeah, you're not a choke kind of guy, are you? You're more of a limb
joint
guy,
manipulation. Right? Yeah, joint manipulation.
Still inching towards a brown belt, or is that?
Yeah, I changed professors, so sometimes there's a lag there. So yeah.
All right, cool. There you go. We haven't talked about Gumby's grappling prowess for a while, so there you go for new viewers and our listeners. All right, look at this name that we're talking about next. Actually, we are on to the main prelims now. Sorry, I didn't talk about all that stuff. That was the 6 p.m. start time. Those fights we just covered. Now we're on to the main prelims, which start at 8 p.m. as per usual. And this is a familiar name and a fun last name. Aleksandre Topuria. You may have recognized that name. He's from Georgia. Colby Thicknesse from Australia. 3 5-minute rounds, 135. Are you down with the Thicknesse? We shall see. He's got a good nickname too. He is Slickness Thicknesse.
Oh, the Slickness.
The Slickness Thicknesse. He's 7-0, 2 knockouts, 2 submissions. Short notice UFC debut. So alarm bell should be ringing in everyone's heads here. He's won 3 straight fights via finish. He's a regional champion. He's fed at 145. 3 years younger than Topuria, 2 inches taller, plus 350. El Cazador, the hunter, is Topuria. The younger, also, Ilya's little brother. He's 5-1, 3 knockouts, 2 submissions. He's been knocked out once. So he's never gone the distance. He owes us some rounds here. This is his UFC debut. He's won 3 straight, all via TKO. He's not fought, though, since May of 2023. He's not lost since May of 2015. So May is the month that he's usually fighting in. He's ahead of schedule. He's fought at featherweight, 2015 pro MMA debut, minus 435. And it's you.
Yeah, I'm gonna go Topuria. I was gonna fade him. I did like Cody Hedon in that fight, where he was gonna be a slight underdog. But
yeah,
the bottom line is like, first of all, don't play based on the name. He's not exactly his brother. I do think he's got a lot of the same wrestling prowess. He works really well when he gets in on your legs. He does not let people up. Like good control, good ground and pound, all that kind of stuff. Little bit less well-rounded on the feet. I think he's sort of gotten away with just being powerful and maybe not being so well-rounded. But like I went back and watched the tape on Thicknesse, and like I just, it's not there for me yet. Like I think he's way too slow. I think his shots come from wide. I don't think there's the grappling base that needs to be there. There's just too many holes. So yeah, I'm taking Topuria.
Yeah, I wasn't, like I said off the top, I wasn't impressed with Thicknesse. The tape that I watched was struggling to hit takedowns, like kind of diving from way out, which isn't going to work against someone that can wrestle like Topuria. So yeah, Topuria was at least according to you, was getting a tough entrance to the UFC. Now he's getting more of a layup here. Other than the home crowd being behind Thicknesse and him having a better name as well. Other than that, you got to go with Topuria here. All right, before we finish off this here card for you, I would be remiss to not remind you that SGPN has partnered up with Edge Boost, the premier Visa debit card for bettors. The Edge Boost card allows you to avoid the hassle of having your card denied at sportsbook, DFS site, sweepstakes site, racetrack, or casino. Plus, you can earn up to $750 per month in cashback rewards for using your Edge Boost card. And your money is safe as the card is FDIC insured. The best part is no credit checks and it's completely free. Sign up today and use the promo code SGPN so you get better cashback, rewards, and instant tier 2 status. That's edgeboost.bet, promo code SGPN. That's edgeboost.bet, promo code SGPN. And the big game is coming this Sunday, and Underdog has you covered. New customers get a Travis Kelce free pick if they sign up before the game. Of course, I'm talking about Underdog Fantasy. Plus, Underdog's site-wide no-sweat entry token is not live now. You can cash in on your Underdog entry to get bonus credit in return. Gummy's going to give you another big game pick. How many of them?
Yeah, let's go.
You don't have to.
I got you. Sure. I got you.
All
yeah,
right.
Let's go higher than on Harrison Butker's field goals made. Listed at 1.5. I got to imagine this is going to be a shootout. Wouldn't be surprised if the Chiefs stall out in the red zone a couple of times. So give me the higher than on Harrison Butker's field goals made.
All right. Sign up with our promo code MMASGPN to claim your special pick and first-time deposit offer up to $1,000 in bonus cash. UnderdogFantasy.com, promo code MMASGPN. All right. Moving right along. A fight people have already been talking about in the Discord. Cong Wang from China versus Bruna from Brazil. 125-pound fight in the female side of the bracket. Brazil is the special one. She's also a fighting nerd. 10-4-1, 3 knockouts, 2 submissions. She's been knocked out 3 times. 2-2 in the UFC. Loss win over her whole UFC career. Actually, 1-0 on Contender Series. She's fight at strawweight and 155. She had one fight at lightweight. I think she must have had to eat a lot before that fight. 2014 pro MMA debut. 0-1 in pro boxing. A year younger than Wang, has been outstruck in the UFC and Contender Series by 0.55 strikes per minute, plus 380. The Joker, Cong Wang, she paints her face like the aforementioned Joker. She's 6-1, 2 knockouts, 2 submissions, been submitted once, 2-1 in the UFC, got subbed in her last fight, 1-0 on the road to UFC. She's a Standa world champion, pro kickboxer as well, an inch of reach over Brazil, better striking stats and twice more active landing strikes in Brazil. She's outstruck her opponents in the UFC and road 2 by 4.18 strikes per minute, minus 400. Ouch. No respect for our girl, Bruna Brazil. I'm going to have to take Wang here. I did consider the dog, but yeah, Brazil gets hit too much. Like, she gets outstruck too much. And Wang has that one touch knockout power that you don't see too often in female, flyweight? No, flyweight fighter. So I think Wang takes this one.
I'm going to go Bruna Brazil. I think a combination of her grappling, and I know Cong Wang is clearly like working on her grappling too, but she comes from a kickboxing background, and Bruna Brazil is, we've seen an uptick in her grappling abilities. I like that, and also I'm worried about the chin of Wang more than I'm worried about the chin of Bruna Brazil. She just got knocked out by a short queen, a very small short queen with an MD. She got fraud checked a little bit in there by being easily hittable.
Fraud checks.
Well, I mean, she did. She was easily hittable. Her hands are low. She's daring people to hit her. And I think people forget because it's been a minute, but Bruna Brazil does have one of the most brutal knockouts in the history of Dana White's Contender Series with a head kick, with exactly the type of strike that it looks like Cong Wang is susceptible to. And I'm not out here saying that this is a lock for me, but God, that number is disrespectful. And you can't get behind Wang at -400 here. So I'm going Bruna Brazil.
Goofier Deer in the Discord.
Yeah, my boy Goofier Deer. Shout out him.
he was putting screenshots in of her Wang with her hands down and her chin out there to be right for the taking. So, all right. I had a feeling you would take Bruna Brazil. I would not be sad if I lose that pick. So I like Brazil. So I would like it if she got on a little bit of a roll here. Kind of precarious. Losing every other fight kind of puts you in a precarious spot here. All right, we are 155 now on the men's side. Tom Nolan from Australia, Viacheslav Borshchev from Russia. You know him better, of course, as Slava Claus, in case you're wondering who I'm talking about. I'm telling you about Nolan first, though. The big train, Tom Nolan, 8-1 with 5 knockouts. He's been knocked out once, 2-1 in the UFC, dropped his debut, and then won 2 straight since then, 1-0 on Contender Series. 4 inches height, 4 inches of reach. He is a big train. 8 years younger, a young train as well than Borshchev. More active landing strikes, better grappling stats than Borshchev. He's outstruck his opponents. We got 4 fights. Stats for him, he's plus 1.51 in the strike differential. He's at plus 125 on the betting board. Slava Claus 8-4-1 with 6 knockouts. He's been submitted once. 3-1 in the UFC. 2-1-1 over his last 4. He won his last fight. 1-0 in Contender Series. Better striking stats than Nolan. He's outstruck his opponents by 0.6 strikes per minute. For the fights we have stats for, minus 135. So close one.
I'm gonna go Slava Claus. For me in this one, I know the reach is a thing and stuff like that, but we did watch him get knocked out by Ashmus, right? Like a guy who was 12 inches shorter than him or something like that. He's been knocked out by guys with far worse reach and far smaller height than Slava Claus. And also we keep saying this about Slava Claus, he doesn't really lose fights where he's going in there with a guy who wants to strike with him, right? He loses to guys who want to wrestle him and really good jiu-jitsu practitioners and bulldogs and he loses to those types of guys. He doesn't lose to guys who want to box with him from the outside. And I think Tom Nolan, as dumb as it sounds, is going to box with him from the outside. I think it's just going to take one mistake from Nolan, whose chin is usually a little too high up in the air. Slava knows how to hit it. So I'm going to take Slava Claus. I think the big piece for me is just the chin difference in this fight.
I'm going dog. I'm going Nolan. Striking battle. He's got tons of power and he's way bigger and younger. So you got to think, you would hope he's a bit more durable.
Does he have more power than Slava? Because you just use tons of power. And I'm not doubting you that he's got tons of power.
I don't know if he has more. It's true.
Yeah.
It's close though. Finally, I'll take a dog. All right. Don't question me. I finally took a dog.
Okay.
All right. To the main event of the prelims. Jack Jenkins, our boy. He's our boy, right? He's got a mustache. He's boy. I saw a photo of him without a mustache. He looks very odd. Older pictures of him. Jack Jenkins from Australia. Gabriel Santos from Brazil. 3 5-minute rounds at 145. I will tell you about Jenkins. Far, we discovered is a racehorse. In the past, PHAR 13-3, 6 knockouts, 3 submissions. He's been knocked out once, submitted twice, so finishing all his losses. 3-1 in the UFC, 10-1 over his last 11, won his last fight via DKO. 1-0 contender series, small 3 championships on his.
Mantle.
Correct. Get the shirt. sportsgamblingpodcast.com/store. Big game is your code, 15% off. Use fight at 155. Better striking stats and more active landing strikes than Santos. He's outstruck his opponents in the UFC by 1.91 strikes per minute, plus 190. Mosquitino, little mosquito, which means you're really little. Santos is really, really tiny then. He's 11-2. 3 knockouts, 4 submissions. He's been knocked out once. 1-2 in the UFC, 1-2 over his last 3, but he did win his last fight. He was the LFA champ. He's got multiple regional championships on his.
Mantle.
Correct. Get the shirt, sportsgamblingpodcast.com/store. Get sticky with it. Get some cool hats. We have new hats and use our code Big Game. 2014 Pro MMA debut for Santos. Use fight at flyweight and bantamweight. 2 inches height, 2 inches of reach over Jenkins. 3 years younger. Better grappling stats than Jenkins. And he's barely been outstruck in the UFC. He's at minus 0.08, minus 200. I'm going dog. I'm taking Jack Jenkins. I still have faith in Jack Jenkins. His only loss in the UFC was an injury loss where he got injured in the during the fight. I don't really get why Santos is a favorite or why he's such a huge favorite here. I think Jenkins is the type of guy who's going to get revved up by the home crowd as well. I think it's the type of guy that it's going to be a positive for him. And you know, he's a damn good fighter all around. So I really don't see why, like I said, why Santos is a favorite here. I think Jenkins is going to eat him up on the feet, and he's got the power to finish it if it gets to that too. So give me the dog.
Yeah, and I've long considered Gabriel Santos as being like a guy who you have to fear just based on the fact that like it seemed like you couldn't knock him out, right? Mm-hmm. Like when he was in LFA or that fight with Lerone Murphy on short notice down in Brazil, which I still think he won. And then I was like, you can't knock him out. Like, how good is he? Because he's super hittable, but like you can't. And then David Onama just ripped that Band-Aid clean off for us and was like, just kidding. No, you definitely can knock this guy out. And man, I think Jack Jenkins with the volume that he brings, and like he doesn't really tire all that much either. Like I think he can go toe to toe with Gabriel Santos having that kind of slugfest. And as you mentioned, like his grappling also isn't bad either. I mean, he had that one weird exchange with Chepe Mariscal where he hurt his shoulder, but outside of that, his like grappling is held up all the time. I mean, I kind of expect him to just hurt Santos, and like with the way that Onama knocked him out, I wouldn't be surprised if he knocks him out. And I will also throw this one out there: TKO leg kicks. Don't be surprised if Gabriel Santos can't walk at the end of this fight.
Ah, interesting. I like it. Why do you think the odds are what they are?
I don't know. It's like it bucks every trend I can think of. You got one guy who's like undefeated except for an injury loss. You got another guy who's 1-2 and only a loss over like a bad road to the UFC cast off, and like been brutally knocked out recently. Like I don't, unless that Lerone Murphy fight is just looming heavily for people. I got no idea. It's confusing to me.
Yeah. All right. We'll take it though. It's a good kind of confusing. We're happy about it. Almost 2-1 on Jenkins. All right. Let's recap and get out of here. We both have Jenkins. I have Nolan. He has Borshchev, aka Slavoclass. I have Wang. He has a Brasil. Both have Topuria. We both have Steele. He has Micallef. I have a Jousset. We both have Salkilld. We both have Park. Boom. You're set. We'll be in the Discord, sportsgamblingpodcast.com/Discord. We shall be on YouTube, MMA Gambling Podcast. Hit us up in the comments if you have a question or concern or a nickname. You know, I kind of like this no laundry one. Twitter is SGPN MMA. Gumby runs that. You can give him nicknames there for himself. He's at Gumby Vreeland. I'm a Jeff Fox writer there and on Instagram. Check out my Substack. Check out my articles there. Most of it numbers-based type articles. I have fight camp rankings there now based on how different fight camps have done in the UFC thus far this year. I'm going to be updating. And, of course, I have my free UFC Pick'em contest at moneymma.substack.com. Gumby has Top Turtle MMA podcast this week. Tell the people who is on it and who's tentatively on it.
Yeah, Killian Salkilld is a tentative one. If you're looking in your feed right now, it might already be in there. He may be on it. He may not. We also talked to Jamie Edenden, who's going to be, was supposed to be fighting on Invicta this weekend. She fell off that card, which is why I perhaps got a fill-in. And then the aforementioned Cody Steele will be on the show.
All right. And, of course, sportsgamblingpodcast.com, sportsgamblingpodcast.com/store. Remember the code Big Game. sportsgamblingpodcast.com/Patreon. And if you're signing up for Underdog Fantasy, MMA SGPN is your code. Gumby is going to bid you farewell till tomorrow.
I'm Dana Gumby Freeland. He's Big Train Jeff Fox, and we will see you tomorrow.